So something I didn't expect to see in this movie was David Naughton's private parts just out there dangling.
Tit for tat, man.
No. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. Well, wait a minute. I'm not saying that. I'm okay with it. But I just didn't expect it. I was like, whoa, all right. I guess we're doing this.
That's right.
And I guess the scene when he went up to the old lady and to like
ask
for something.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know that he was going to be naked, the actress or whoever it was. She just knew that, guy's going to come up to you and ask a question. She had no idea he was going to be naked.
So her reaction is genuine.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh.
I'm ready. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And we returned from the graveyard of podcasts to bring you a 5-episode block of shows as you now enter Forgotten Horror Part 5, A New Beginning. Each episode, we discuss a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Maybe they were being attacked by a creature or chased down by a headless horseman while walking home from a pub. Or perhaps the movie didn't catch on with the audience in its initial run because they were pod people. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you survived the Silver Shamrock Mask promotion, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Our podcast is available on all platforms for your listening displeasure.
Ooh.
So this is something new, man.
Welcome back. But also, welcome for the first time.
Right. So for loyal listeners of our podcast, that was for 4 years from May 2019 to end of April 2022. 23, excuse me, 23. We stopped recording in 22. That's why. This is a return. We did a podcast. We did one of these Forgotten Takeovers for the Pint for John,
right?
Which they're also on YouTube if you want to check them out. So we did one of those. But this is we wanted to come back and do a block of shows for Forgotten Horror. By now you've seen the trailer. By now you've seen all that stuff. We were pretty excited. We're pretty nervous right now because this is our first time in months. 7 months.
7 months.
7 months from
doing
recording.
Doing an actual episode here.
This whole
the studio.
Yeah, I know. This whole set was broken down into my office, and then I was like, I moved it. And so now I recreated it again with all of our fun little stuff here. But also, this is also our first time doing a show for YouTube because we just want to see. We talked about it for a while for all those 4 years,
right?
About doing this, and now we decided to do it. So how do you feel about that?
I feel nervous. I feel like everybody's watching me. They're
completely
for the 5 people that are going to watch this video.
Everybody is judging you. They're right now. People watching going, I could do that better. These guys suck, and that's fine. I mean, that's true.
That's true.
All right. So, how have you been for 7 months? I know we've seen each other, but how have you been?
Oh man, I've been miserable, man. I needed an itch. I keep watching movies and TV, and I'm not writing notes, and it just feels wrong.
Yeah.
It just feels wrong.
It does. But I mean, we got back into the swing of things. I mean, this will be kind of. I think we're going to stumble a lot on our first episode. But that's okay. That's what the people want. They want to see. They want to see us being terrible.
That'd be perfect. Listen, I'm proud you got through the Silver Shamrock Mask promotion.
What's
That's
funny?
a tongue twister. As you said that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I wrote that opening, and I'm like, as I'm saying it, I was like, I don't think I can keep saying this over and over again. That's survive the Silver Shamrock. Oh man,
you did it the first time. Don't.
If that changes in the second episode, you now know why. Because it's terrible to say, and I don't know why I wrote it like that.
Well, no, I got to see it the next episode. You got to keep it in there to see if
you should be punished. Yeah, you should be punished for all that stuff. All right, Mike. Now, what movie are we doing? And what is it about?
We are doing
the
1981 An American Werewolf in London. David and Jack, 2 American college students, are backpacking through Britain when a large wolf attacks them. Or is it a werewolf? David survives with a bite, but Jack is brutally killed. Very brutally. As David heals in the hospital, he is plagued by violent nightmares of his mutilated friend, who warns David that he is becoming a werewolf. When David discovers the horrible truth, he contemplates committing suicide before the next full moon causes him to transform from man to murderous beast.
You suck.
I got too excited. Got too into it at the end.
So An American Werewolf in London has a runtime of 97 minutes. It's rated R. Production budget is anywhere between 5.8 million and 10 million, depending upon what source you look online. Its release date was Friday, August 21st, 1981, and its opening weekend it did $3.7 million. Domestic, $30.5 million. International, $29.9 million for a worldwide total of $61.9 million. Not bad. Production company was Polygram Pictures and the Goober Peters Company, and was distributed by Universal Pictures in the United States, Barber International Films in the UK, and Producers Sales Organization internationally. That it came out on the 21st. I'm going to guarantee you know none of these films.
Oh.
And what's fun, so we've talked about this before on the podcast, is that back in the 80s, everything was limited. So these are all, quote, limited releases, but I think that's based upon what's considered a wide release now. So I don't think that.
I ain't gonna see none.
No. So on the 21st of August, you had in a limited release Honky Tonk Freeway and First Monday in October. The week after, the 28th, you had a limited release of Body Heat, Private Lessons, and Gallipoli. I think they said that right.
Gallipoli,
Yep.
yeah. Was it about the Battle of Gallipoli?
Maybe.
I might have actually heard of this film,
There you
unless
go.
they made another Gallipoli.
I don't know. I mean, yes. The 14th of August, the week before, you had a limited release of They All Laughed and Deadly Blessing. So yeah, you don't know anything.
I mean, Body Heat sounded familiar,
yeah.
but that's a very generic title.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So this film was written and directed by John Landis. He has done a ton of films, obviously. Animal House, The Blues Brothers, Trading Places, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos. He's also wrote the story for Clue, which is an episode we did. He wrote The Blues Brothers 2000. He also has written and directed the Michael Jackson's Thriller video, which I'm sure we'll get into in our notes because this movie obviously got him that gig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cinematographer was Robert Paintner, who's done Superman 2 and 3, Little Shop of Horrors, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and it's called The Final Conflict now, but it was called Omen, The Final Conflict. That is the third movie, I believe, or fourth. Third? I will say third, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
Composer was Elmer Bernstein, who was nominated for an Oscar for The Man with the Golden Arm, The Magnificent Seven, Summer and Smoke. These are all nominations, by the way. To Kill a Mockingbird, Return of the Seven, Gold, True Grit, the original, Trading Places, The Age of Innocence, and Far From Heaven. Those are all
Damn.
and he won one for Thoroughly Modern Millie. So, editor was Malcolm Campbell, who's done Coming to America, Wayne's World, Superstar, and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Produced by George Falsey Jr., who's produced Three Amigos, Deathlink, and The Blues Brothers. And then executive produced by Peter Guber and John Peters. Guber has done Interspace, Clue, and Tango and Cash. And Peters has done Man of Steel, Ali, and the 2018 A Star Is Born. Not a big cast. David Naughton as David. He was in Midnight Madness, which is an episode we did for Forgotten.
I thought he looked
Takeover.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love that movie. He's also in Hot Dog, the movie. I've not seen that.
Okay.
And the TV show My Sister Sam. Griffin Dunn plays Jack. He was nominated for an Oscar for a short, actually, for Duke of Grove. He also did After Hours. Do you ever see After Hours?
No, I know of it, but I don't
It's
never
good.
seen it.
Johnny Dangerously. Have you ever seen Johnny Dangerously?
Yes. Oh, wow.
Okay. And Dallas Buyers Club. Jenny Agutter, I think I said that name right. Plays Nurse Alex Price. She's in Logan's Run. Child's Play 2 and the TV show Call the Midwife. That's more recent, obviously. John Woodvine as Dr. J.S. Hirsch. They never give him a first name. He's in Vanity Fair, Miss Potter, and Burke and Hare. David Schofield as Dart Player. He doesn't have a name, but he's in here because he would be very familiar. You've probably
he's
noticed
in a
him.
lot of stuff.
Gladiator, the movie From Hell, which is an episode we did for, was that a Forgotten Horror season we did From Hell?
I think it was just
A regular one?
Yeah.
He's also in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3. And I'm not going to tell you, I can't even remember the subtitles for those. And Valkyrie, which is an episode we did in our very first season of Forgotten Cinema. Brian Glover as Chess Player, obviously the antithesis of Dart Player. He's in The Great Train Robbery, The Company of Wolves, Alien 3. Frank Oz as Mr. Collins. He's in The Blues Brothers 2000, but obviously many people should know him as the voice of Yoda from Star Wars, the voice of Grover, Bert, and Cookie Monster from Sesame Street.
Yeah, that man's voice when he's not doing a voice is straight up just Grover.
Yeah, the voice of I'm not done. The voice of Animal, Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, and Sam Eagle in The Muppets, among other things. So that's where he's obviously more famous for. But he's popped in here because I think him and Landis are friends. So
Right. He's also a well-established director of his own right.
Of course. But this isn't his
We're
movie,
here
so
for
not
we're here
talking
for the Kermit, the Grover.
All right, Mike, where do you want to begin? Now, I always ask you this, and I know you've seen this because you own the DVD. So
The Blu-ray. I own the remastered Blu-ray.
Apologies.
God.
Apologies. I'm so sorry. This movie has so many notes, so I don't even think I'm going to get through half of these notes, just for the sake of time. But I had not seen this film in forever.
Right. That's, I think, where I want to start is I really do enjoy this film. I've always liked this film. This was on our original list of films. But I really like it. I love pretty much everything about it, but I'm interested to see what you think of it. I don't think you're going to like it as much as I did.
Well, I said I've seen it before.
You see, when we were talking, you were like, it's
been a while.
I've seen pieces. I think I've seen it all, but it's been a while.
I mean, I remember moments in the movie. I didn't remember everything, but it's been very, very long since I've seen it. And I've only think I saw it once before. Like, I don't think I repeat performance. So I don't even remember. I saw, obviously, this movie has a sequel, An American Werewolf in Paris. I could not tell you what's in that, what goes on.
That movie came out like in the 2000s.
Like 15 years ago.
It was, yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, I have no idea about anything in that film.
Don't worry about that film.
So you're asking me what I think of this film?
Yes.
I like it. It's definitely a movie of, it obviously didn't have a lot of money. It obviously doesn't have big time stars. I'm okay with that. Like, I like indie films. So that kind of felt that kind of indie like. So
right.
Maybe if I give it a benefit of the doubt or something like that, maybe. But no, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, but what are you going to do here? It's 1981. I mean, it's not, you can't compare it to what you see now because it's a different set of skill sets and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I didn't have any problems with it. I mean, once we get into it, maybe those problems will arise, but I can't remember anything offhand that I was like, stupid movie. So no, but you still love it.
I love it. I think it's great. It was made it's like how I love the original Evil Dead. It's early 80s. I think it's the same year. I think Evil Dead was also 81 or 82 or something.
Yeah, but Evil Dead was like they're shooting.
Oh, that's really indie.
Yeah, it's really indie.
John Landis does have a budget, but it's like it all went into the werewolf.
Well, yeah. Well, we should start there too, because I should mention that this film did win an Academy Award for Best Makeup, which was the first year it was put in. Like it was the first time this category was part of it, and Rick Baker won that. And I will say this: that scene, that whole transformation scene, still holds up.
Oh, absolutely,
still better than anything you've probably seen anywhere. I mean,
now it's not CG. Yeah,
now it's all CG. I mean, we did Cursed, our last forgotten horror.
Where we talked about how Rick Baker was fired from that. It's like, why would you fire the guy who did it?
But like that, though, that all that CGI stuff was just terrible. And like, I feel like now what I like about that transformation scene is that it's painful. It hurts, and you're watching how it hurts.
Sure.
But now it's so quick. Everyone's just like, I'm a werewolf.
Well, that's what John Landis didn't want to do. Is he didn't want to do the Lon Chaney sitting in a chair with the slow fades, peacefully turning into a werewolf. He's like, your body is changing, your organs are changing. It wouldn't be a happy, fun thing, and it would be agonizing.
What of the change kind of stuck out to you more?
Oh, the thing that when I picture the change, the thing I always picture is the snout coming out, when him making the muzzle coming out of his teeth. That's the image that's always in my head.
See, what I liked was the spine popping up.
No, that's good too. The whole thing's good. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying in terms of like what stood out, like the spine coming up. I liked. A lot of these films, like when you like Back to the Future, when he holds his hand up to his face and it's like it starts disappearing. You're like, oh, that looks bad. Like, but you don't care. But like, there's nothing in this transformation scene where I'm like, oh, that looks obviously fake. Obviously, it's all not real, but it still looked so good. It looked believable.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't have any problem with that. I thought that was really, really well done. It still holds up. And I mean, if anybody loves special effects or anybody loves that kind of work and has never seen this film, I mean, shame on you, but check it out because you'll probably like that a lot.
Yeah, they still have at Universal Studios. They have a monster makeup show where they go over it, and in their lobby they have some of the pieces of like the mechanical mouth that comes out and stuff like that. It's really cool to look at. But this is Rick Baker, kind of like this is the start of Rick Baker becoming Rick Baker.
Right. The other special effect that they had was when he's in the bed. He's in the hospital bed in the woods, and he pops up. He opens his eyes, and you see him on the bed like he's the nurses there. Do you remember that? His dream, and obviously they have the army werewolves, which we'll get into.
Right.
I thought that his look in the bed, that look looked more vampire-ish than it did werewolf. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's just his brain trying to come to terms with what's
Sure.
going on with him.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, how do we scare people? We don't want to reveal the werewolf yet, so let's make him a monster.
Right.
Kind of like when we get into the Nazi werewolf guys.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I mean, that dream too, like they're not specifically werewolves. They're just kind of creatures and monsters. One of them looks a lot like incidentally, like the monster from the last Twilight Zone movie skit
Mhm.
on the plane. It looks like the one that the monster on the wing of the plane.
Okay.
So it might be the same mask. I don't know.
Maybe doubling up stuff.
Yeah. But I think that's a really cool sequence because it really gives you an idea of what's going on inside his head, but it gives you some scares because you've already watched this movie up to a certain point with no werewolf. And I think at this point, the audience is jonesing for some horror.
Mhm.
So I think those dreams really give you something without playing their hand because you don't want to play your werewolf hand too quick because you want to see that transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And the werewolf itself, I'm not super impressed with.
Oh, which part? Which one?
The full size werewolf.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, I thought that you know what I thought looked well was when the dude's running up the stairs at the subway and you saw the werewolf walking. And I thought I was like that because that was really the first time you saw it.
That is John Landis's only time he says the shot works.
Yeah.
He was disappointed in the look of the werewolf too. And I know Rick Baker wanted to do a two-legged werewolf, but John Landis insisted, no, I want it to be four-legged, more animalistic.
Yeah.
But then John Landis even thought, at the time I thought the werewolf was really cool, but I think I kind of blew my load on the werewolf. Like I should have just hidden him. He's like, the escalator one is the only one that works.
So you watched all the Blu-ray extra stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you're getting all this stuff from? Because I did not. Okay.
John Landis's interviews and stuff like that.
Right.
So he did in 2002 or 1 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He did a retrospective on talking about the werewolf and what he wanted to do and why he wanted to do it.
Right. Do you know that? So now you obviously see that I'm wearing the Slaughtered Lamb.
It's a very nice T-shirt. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yep. You can get this wherever you want to get it. Do you know that there's actually a Slaughtered Lamb pub in Greenwich Village?
I did not.
That you can go there, and they've got the picture of the movie poster on the wall, and I don't know how if it's supposed to be direct from the movie, but it's still operational. So next time you're in the city, Greenwich Village, check it out. So I just gave them a plug, like not like 10 people that listen to this.
Damn, that free round on you guys, man.
Butler, you love James Bond, and Albert Broccoli had a chance to produce this film, and he said no.
That fool,
right?
He's busy producing James Bond. So
he said, "Hell no, it's weird."
He's got stupid Roger Moore movies to make.
Whoa.
Well, by the 80s, those movies were not very good.
Teenage Me didn't care. I mean, I thought Octopussy was the best thing ever.
That's so boring.
Or Moonraker. I liked Moonraker.
Moonraker's all right.
Moonraker's cool. But, looking back,
but that's a 70s
the Bond
one.
films are not fantastic looking back.
I'm talking like 1980s. You got A View to a Kill and those other, like the later Roger Moore movies where it's like, ooh,
View to a Kill was the one where they're playing the video game, right? Where they get stung.
That's got the blimp.
Yeah. I was like, I know we're off on a tangent, which we usually do, but I never understood why. Like that game, like what game they were playing. I remember like, what is the objective of this game? Like
the game is their nations nuking other nations. Yeah. It's a war game.
It's stupid.
And I think the more you get nuked, the more you feel it in your joystick.
All right, let's get back to this movie. So something I didn't expect to see in this movie was David Naughton's private parts just out there dangling.
Tit for tat, man.
No. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. Well, wait a minute. I'm not saying that. I'm okay with it. But I just didn't expect it. I was like, whoa, all right. I guess we're doing this.
That's right.
And I guess the scene when he went up to the old lady and to like
ask
for something. Yeah. Like she didn't know that he was going to be naked, the actress or whoever it was. She just knew that, guy's going to come up to you and ask a question. She had no idea he was going to be naked.
So her reaction is genuine.
I believe so. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm sure a lot of those people that were in the park when he's running around were like, what is going on?
I love when he takes the balloons from the boy and the boy just goes up to his mom. A naked American man just stole my balloons.
That shot of him in the wolf cage is one shot because he wouldn't do it again.
I wouldn't do it again either.
Yeah, but I mean, they're tame, right?
So these are working wolves, right? No, these are the zoo wolves.
I've just found these wolves wherever they were lying around.
Don't let them near your junk, all right?
Is there anything in this film that you don't like?
Like I said, I don't think the werewolf.
Okay, listen,
really
it's got to be something you don't agree with Landis about. Something that you don't like that John Landis, if he showed up here, would say, Butler, we got a problem. Come on. Nothing's perfect. Is it how fast Nurse Alex just invites this guy home?
I would think that would be my one complaint. That's something I have in my notes, is that she's just like infatuated with him because he's like, what, American? I don't understand, like, because he's different. Maybe like, unless she likes really damaged people, she falls in love with someone over the course of, he's in the hospital for what? Well, 3 weeks, 3 weeks unconscious. And then what, 1 week?
Which is always a way to make a great impression.
Yeah, 1 week awake.
How is he not atrophied? How his muscles not? Oh,
That's the other thing. He just gets out of the bed.
He's a werewolf, though. Maybe he's like super powered.
But she's like, just like, oh man, I love you. And all he's doing is having these nightmares and admitting them to her, that he's seeing his dead friend, that he doesn't know what he is, that he's going to become a werewolf. And it's at that scene where he goes, I'm going to become a werewolf. He goes, maybe you should come home with me if you have nowhere to go. Like, she must really like troubled men.
I think it's just a way to have a love interest, or
It's definitely like a love story kind of a movie, down somewhere within all the other movies. Even
though at the end of the movie he just is going to eat her if they didn't shoot him.
He's not going to eat her.
That's not what I read. I read a note where it said that Landis said, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
I don't have the note.
Hang on. You know what? Go ahead. Continue talking. I'll find it.
So it seems like at the end, spoiler, we get into the end of the movies. It seems like at the end, he's saying, she's like, I love you. And he looks and his werewolf is sad. And then he jumps out knowing he's going to get shot and it's alluded to earlier on in the film when he says, it's another one of his crazy statements that it's like, why are you with this guy? I think only someone you love can kill you as a werewolf. Lon Chaney's father had to kill. So I think it's love that kills the werewolf. And so that carries over toward the end.
Right.
That's what I got. I mean, if John Landis says otherwise,
I thought I read somewhere where he was, it was almost like he didn't understand why people were saying that, because he was saying, no, he does. That's not what we were saying. But, I can't find it. So it's probably not worth even don't even put any weight behind that. So that's on me. It
is the animal in him. So maybe he was going to kill her. Mm-hmm. But for that one brief second, he became David, or the David part of him kind of comes out.
Right.
Which that does look good. The werewolf face looks good.
Yeah.
It's the body that looks.
You don't like it when he bites the inspector's head off at the end?
I love it. It's so stupid. It's just like
yeah.
It's just a guy. It's literally Rick Baker with the mask on his arm. Mm-hmm. It's a hand puppet. But that inspector is so stupid. And his stupid bumbling partner is smarter than him.
But there was it was almost like they were in a different. It's almost like they pulled the partner and him from another movie set and came on. Just do whatever shtick you're doing in this other movie. Yeah. Do it here.
Maybe he's like, I like this. I saw this British TV show where there were these two duos. So
maybe
I want that.
Maybe. This is that scene at the end when they are at the porno theater. Did you see the note where he didn't tell anybody that they were, like he said, that people thought there really was a wild animal on the inside of the theater?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
So everyone's gathered around and he didn't tell any of them it was fake. He just said, oh yeah, it's a wild animal.
Free extras.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. I always like that stuff. Go back to, we were talking about how this felt like an indie film, where I said that this had a 29-day film shoot, filmed in February to March. Purposely, Landis didn't want it to look, he wanted nothing to look good. He wanted it to look crummy and crappy and stuff like that. Although when they're outside in the moors,
right?
I know they're outside. It feels like a studio. I want to say they're outside. Do you think that was a studio set when they're walking back and forth?
I think they're outside. I think these have big ass studio lights.
Yeah, it's just lit like all. What was the movie we did?
Red Rock West.
Yes.
And we always talk about that.
Yeah. Where it's clearly they just turned on the China balls everywhere. It was just like, it's night.
I mean, when we talk about it, we talk about like indie films and how they don't really have a choice. And
sure.
It's kind of like, all right, but you know what kind of movie you're watching. When it's the early 1980s, there's not as much you could do in terms of capturing light and actually getting the scene while still having it at night, unless you did day for night, and day for night never looks good.
It depends.
Rarely looks
good. It depends. Because a lot of times day for night is used to correct mistakes or to correct production issues where we couldn't shoot at night. We don't have enough lights,
right,
to shoot, like you said. So it's used as a way to remedy something. It's not used in terms of a lot of times for like a stylistic choice or,
right,
you know what I mean? So, but yes, I agree with you.
Did you pick up since we're going back to the moors, when the film opens, the door opens and the two guys, Jack and David, are with the sheep.
Yes.
And it's supposed to symbolize that they are victims. They are the sheep. They are the slaughtered lamb.
Yeah,
I didn't pick up on that. I was watching the documentary and Landis says, this is not going to be a happy story. They're literally in with the sheep. They are the sheep. And I was like, Oh,
Subtext.
damn, symbolism.
You're smart.
I'm dumb.
Did you see that they cut scenes out because I guess it wasn't gonna get an R rating, it was gonna get an X rating because it was too violent? Did they that scene where the werewolf kills all the bums was actually played out?
Oh no, I didn't
So
see
they
that.
cut that.
That bums me out.
The homeless man. Oh, I know. Well, like I guess it freaked preview audiences out, so he had to take them out.
Boo on them. It's a horror movie. You know what you're getting into.
The sex scene there was more to it, so they toned that down. And I guess there was a part where Jack is eating when he's undead a piece of toast. And
that's awesome.
It falls through his neck or something.
Oh,
like
the
that.
toast in the hospital bed. It must have been.
Yeah. So they cut that.
Moves
as
it
well.
with the egg. Oh, toast and eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that got cut out.
Listen, you're going to see a horror movie. You're going to get violence and you're going to get sex. You know what you're getting into. Come on.
Oh, well, I mean,
boo on those audiences. That's a horror movie staple right there.
What about the way when we meet Hirsch Woodvine, who played John Woodvine, who played the Dr. Hirsch? He's so mean. You have to be in a nurse, like just like didn't you have work to do? Like he's just like so like abrupt.
Maybe she sucks.
But then he was mean to Nurse Alex too.
That's true.
There's definitely got to be better things for you to be doing.
And why are you here?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, honestly, like stop jerking around with the American. You have other patients.
So I don't know if this is staying on Hirsch. I don't know if this is just 2023 mentality, me thinking, but for some reason, I kept thinking they were setting up a sequel with Hirsch and Alex, like going to go battle the supernatural across England. Because one of the things I didn't realize in this film, one of the things I didn't remember, because it's been so long, is how much time they spent with Hirsch trying to solve the mystery of what's going on. Like it was like he's over in East Proctor and talking with the dart player and the chess player, trying to find out what's happening. Him and Alex are trying to like investigate, help David out. I'm like, it felt like, I don't remember this much of the movie being about this, where I was like, is there going to be a sequel where these guys are just going to Hirsch and Price and they're going to be roaming the countryside of England? I
think that's your 2023 brain trying to make a multiverse here. I'm sequels.
Listen, that all these studios, when they, actually get off their butts and pay the actors and WGA, right now they're in the strike. I don't know what's going to happen in October. But you'd like to think that, some exec is like going through old scripts going, why don't we reboot this? Let's do something here.
Landis' son is writing American Werewolf, supposedly.
Well, he was. And
right.
Then all that stuff happened with Landis, all his, his negative press where he was, not being a nice person, to say it, whatever, lightly. But, so I don't think that's going to happen. I know that I do have a note that I know somebody else was going to be in November of 20, because that Landis note is from 2016.
Okay.
That he was going to do a remake. In 2019, the creator, Robert Kirkman, the creator of the Walking Dead comic book series, was going to in consideration to serve as a producer for a new reboot. But that was 2019, probably before the pandemic. So who knows what's happening now. So,
no.
I mean, I think this movie could use a remake. I don't mind that, or a reboot. You don't like that, do you? You don't like that.
I don't like that.
You had already had the sequel. You already had
the sequel is garbage.
Sure. Okay.
It's people that are going to make the sequel are not going to understand what makes this great, what makes it interesting and unique, and that it's not a straight up. It is a horror movie, but it's also got so much comedy in it, got so much sarcasm, and it is a love story in there. Like, it's not a schlocky horror film, and they're going to make it cursed. They're going to make it a cursed movie. They're going to make it a werewolf movie, a generic bland werewolf movie.
Well, before this werewolf movie, you had the Lon Chaney one. You had those older films. You didn't have a lot of, I don't want to say, maybe there were some indie or ones we never saw, but you didn't have a lot of big werewolf films beforehand. Then this movie came out, and but this movie came out the same year as The Howling. And
is this the same year as The Howling?
Well,
I thought
Rick
Howling
Baker
came out
was going to
afterward.
So this movie was going to be shot, I think, a year prior. And something happened, it got pushed, or it just didn't happen. And Rick Baker was going to go do The Howling.
Okay.
And then Landis was like, oh, no, here we're going. And I guess they had some kind of fight because Landis was like, no. He was like, well, I'm doing The Howling. You waited too long. He's like, and he got mad at him. No, you promised me, whatever.
Right.
He let his apprentice do The Howling, and he came over and did American Werewolf in London. So, The Howling and this movie came out at the same time.
Okay.
But then after those two films, you had a ton of werewolf films. So those movies, this movie and The Howling, or probably started off all that werewolf stuff.
Restarted,
so
yeah.
It's you almost want to. I think you remaking the original. It would be bad if they didn't do justice to what was done. So if the werewolf transformation is all CGI, no, that's terrible.
Right.
But if you come in and say, listen, the original, we're remaking this. The original did it all practical. We're doing it all practical. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know.
No, studios are never going to be that. That's too expensive. We've got 5 studios in India, China, America, Canada, and South America are all going to make it for $2 an hour, and we're just going to do that, and we're going to rush it so it looks really bad.
What if Blumhouse did it? What if they did the show? They did it.
I think Universal, since they have a great relationship with Blumhouse should do all the Universal monster stuff. They already have the Invisible Man. I think they're working on something else. I do think they're almost like the A24 of horror movies in terms of, and A24 does really good horror movies as well, but it's like giving their directors and the creatives the creative freedom to make what they need to make.
Well, the problem is though that Blumhouse is part of the big studio system, so they're not gonna, like A24 can just do whatever they want.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So Blumhouse still has a boss to answer to.
But I feel like they're a little bit more, listen, this is what we want to do, and they're given, maybe it's that they're given a little more leeway.
All right, yeah. So I don't think you should be so negative against the remake.
I'd watch it. Obviously, I'll watch it. Of
course you will.
We complain
all the time about all these movies that come out that are terrible, and then and then I watch them. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. All right, so I said I was going to talk about. We said we were going to talk about a little bit, but how this movie influenced the Michael Jackson Thriller video. I assume everyone has seen the Thriller video. The Thriller video is fantastic. The big long one, obviously, but like he saw this film. Michael Jackson, and he wanted the people that did this film for the Thriller video.
Sure.
He basically got him. John Landis probably gave him a ton of. I'm sure he got more money to do the Thriller video than he did to do this.
Oh yeah,
in terms of a budget. But I thought, and I mean, I wish I watched the movie before we did that. Excuse me. I wish I watched the video.
I was gonna say
before. I didn't watch the movie. I wish I watched the video before we did this because I wanted to see like how different it was, like how any improvements to the makeup they used for Jackson and the transformation stuff to what they did in this. I don't know. Do you remember offhand?
It's different kind of transformation stuff. I remember watching it in the IMAX when it came out with a house with a clock in its walls. Another episode we did.
That's okay.
In IMAX, they put the video in front of that.
I like that show. I like that movie.
That's a good movie. And I remember the transformation looks good. It's a little less violent.
Mm-hmm.
A little more wolfy, maybe.
Okay.
In terms of how he changes. And obviously you have the zombies and stuff like that, which are kind of like how Jack is deteriorating, which I think is like, we talk about like the werewolf.
Yeah.
But I think Jack's deterioration is almost as impressive, especially back then, as the werewolf. So you do see a lot of that influence in Michael Jackson's like zombies when he's doing it.
Sure.
On the chorus. But I think you can definitely see that he's inspired by American Werewolf in London. It's just maybe not as impressive, but that's coming from like having seen American Werewolf and then seeing the Thriller video.
Mm-hmm. Well, also too, I mean, a lot of people die in Piccadilly Circus when the werewolf comes out.
More people die in it, like indirectly,
yes,
than die directly
from the werewolf killing them.
The panic kills more people.
Absolutely. One of the other questions I wanted to ask you is: can we really call this a horror comedy?
No, I think it's a horror movie,
but it's called a comedy.
I know, but even John Landis says that's wrong. Yeah. It's a horror movie.
But like, so the comedy that they're saying is just the beginning when they're just kind of joking.
Yeah,
like that's I mean,
Jack is jokey.
Yeah,
it's got moments that make you smile or laugh, but it's not funny.
Right.
You know, children are murdered by those werewolf Nazis that come through.
Do they show them? I can't remember if they show the kids getting murdered.
They show the kids getting scared. They show the monster shooting them on a close up of the monster. But then later you see the kids on the floor with blood on them when they're throwing the torches on the wall and leaving.
Okay. All right. So they're dead.
They do show the dead
kids getting killed in movies. Now they do, but they didn't used to for a while. What was with the What was with the Mickey Mouse?
I was hoping you were gonna find out. Because I'm looking, I go, oh, it's a Disney film, so they're really this is a Universal movie.
Mickey Mouse. There was a couple of Mickey Mouses. There was a Minnie Mouse. There was a Donald Duck.
Yeah, her house is covered in Disney memorabilia. I couldn't find anything about that.
Maybe that goes to what you were talking about. Why would she fall in love with this guy? Is it just because he's an American? Maybe she loves America so much. That's why they have all that.
Sure.
So maybe that goes to that, or that's they just the set designer, the set dresser, just was a Mickey Mouse person.
Unless maybe they're trying to be like, hey, she's innocent, so she loves these cartoon these innocent cartoon characters. But I noticed that like as soon as it popped up, I was like, why?
Mhm.
And it wasn't any of the special features. I'm sure it's mentioned in the director's commentary,
Right.
but I ain't got time for that.
All right. The other thing I want to ask you on the heels of the sequel, I also think there's a prequel in here.
About how the guy in the moors.
The prequel about East Proctor's dark history. Like where did this first werewolf come from? Like, why is the town like they killed the first werewolf?
Sure.
They send the other one off, but the town still is deathly afraid of something. So there's obviously something going on in East Proctor, Mike.
They probably have more werewolves.
Okay. Like, I want to know.
I don't know, man. I know John Landis was inspired by Romani gypsies.
Tell that story.
So he dropped out of high school, went to go help on film sets. He was actually a stuntman. He is actually in the Piccadilly Circus. He gets smashed through the window.
He goes to Yep.
And he went to Romania on a film shoot or something. They were hanging out, and he sees this gypsy burial. And he's like, wow, at first he's like, wow, they look really legitimate. And it's like, no, this is not part of the movie. This is an actual Romani burial. And, they're saying all these prayers and yelling at the corpse and it's very intricate and making sure it can't be cursed. And he was inspired like, well, what if that was real? What if this wasn't just tradition? What if this was a preparation to make sure that this guy didn't come back to life and get them? So that's where he was kind of inspired by the way the werewolf kind of works.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
nice job.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then he went off and did schlock first. And then I never knew about schlock until I watched this movie and they talked about schlock.
Schlock.
This is the movie he did before this where he's like the missing link.
Yeah.
He actually played the missing link.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
I have not seen it. This movie looks terrible.
Yes. So you love Halloween Horror Nights.
I love
you go to it every year.
So for the last, yes.
We accept sponsorships, Universal. This one was for 2013, and it was voted the best one, I guess, for that year.
Damn, I knew it was in there.
Like, do they show? I mean, I'm asking you. Like, do they show you past Hollywood Horror Night? Like when you're there, like
sometimes they'll do like they have a tribute store, so they'll show you like little pamphlets or something like that. A lot of the times they'll bring back the icons, they call them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're characters they've made just for Halloween Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go on YouTube and there's a lot of houses and walkthroughs and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm sure 2013 there's got to be someone who snuck an iPhone in where you're not supposed to. Now they do press tours before the thing begins.
Oh, really?
So if you're part of the press or you're an influencer who does like Universal or Disney stuff, they'll let you go in with a camera for one night at the beginning.
You need to become an influencer so you can do that.
I don't live near Universal. I can't. I don't talk.
That sounds like a you problem, my man.
I know.
So I know that because you love this film.
I do.
And you know what I always like to do when you love this film?
Talk about reviews about people that hate this film.
Yep. Here we go. Roger Ebert's review was less favorable. He gave it 2 out of 4 stars, Butler, stating an American Werewolf in London seems curiously unfinished, as if director John Landis spent all his energy on spectacular set pieces and then didn't want to bother with things like transitions, character development, or an ending. What do you say?
Transitions? Do you need transitions? The abruptness it's a horror movie. The abruptness works.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the ending, I love the ending. I love that. Boom, bang.
Ends.
He's dead. Done. Credits.
And that's been done in other films.
Yeah.
We talked about that. We've talked about that before. I know that like we let you movie ends, it's over. Done.
Yeah. The story's over. He's dead.
Story's over. Yeah.
He was your point of view.
Right.
Why should it carry on anyway?
What are you going to do? Have a scene with Hirsch and Alex sitting together?
Yeah, crying.
I guess we tried our best.
This is what I was like. I will say this. Elise watched this movie with me because she knew I loved it. She bought me the Blu-ray. And I'm like, well, you're watching this with me then.
Sit down.
So she watched it and she wasn't a huge fan of it. She loved the transformation. But one of the things that really bothered her about the movie was the abrupt ending. She actually like her mouth was agape at the end. Like, what? When the credits started, I'm like, what do you want? It's done. It's the same, like Evil Dead ends the same way. He destroys the book. This thing smashes him. Boom. End credits.
Mm-hmm.
A horror movie doesn't need this sappy ending or a denouement. Like you've got the werewolf dying. That's what needed to happen.
Does he have a last line?
No, he destroys the book, walks out, and then the evil kind of grabs him.
Yeah. So I think maybe because it's so abrupt, Like maybe if somebody said something.
That's a big dog.
That
looks like a person.
They cut to an old lady. Why are they shooting at a dog? Credits roll. Perfect. Maybe or something like that. I mean, they don't show him. They show him as
they do show him as
David.
a human, dead as a human, just like in the beginning.
Yeah.
So he turns back into a human. I mean, the only thing I could think of, like why Elise was maybe upset, maybe Ebert, was maybe he wanted a scene where like Jack turns around and goes and walks into a darkness, holding hands with David, skipping happily. Like I don't know what you want.
They start kissing and making out, and then everyone's like, "What's this agenda?"
I really feel like it's a good idea. Like if you're focused on the film and your characters, your point of view, although they do break it a couple times, they go see the doctor. So I guess they do break the point of view a couple times.
Well, that's the thing.
It's mostly
they have
through
this
the
whole
point of view,
investigation.
David.
They have this whole Hirsch mystery element where it's like I'm watching like a BBC drama, and
Listen,
he's like,
he paid like 40 cents for a beer. I was like, wow.
Guinness. There you go.
Yeah, he's like, what is that?
That is the
40,
worst.
23
pub.
pence.
They have nothing.
Yeah,
they have
we got no
nothing at
food.
this pub. I know. Where does anybody eat in this friggin' town? No wonder there's werewolves.
Go outside and eat a sheep raw.
Yeah. Shut up, old bag. Give me some food. All right, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I'm not done, Butler. In the book, Comedy Horror Films: A Chronological History.
It's not a comedy. Oh yeah, all right. Go on.
Whatever. Bruce Hallenbeck lambasted the film's inconsistent tone, juvenile humor, poor direction, and emphasis on shock value to the detriment of continuity and plot, citing Rick Baker's makeup effects and Jenny Agutter's performance as genuinely powerful, but concluded that thanks to the director's insincerity, slapdash approach, and what appears to be a thinly veiled contempt for the material, the movie succeeds neither as a comedy nor as a horror.
It's not a comedy. And thinly veiled contempt for the material. He wrote the material because he loved watching his werewolf.
My script.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate this. Like, what are you looking for? It's not a comedy horror film. You're not looking for that. It's a horror film with other stuff.
Right.
The abruptness can be. What are you looking for with the abruptness? Why does everyone talk about the abruptness? When he's in the hospital bed, yes, everything's very abrupt because you're supposed to be like, what's going on?
Right.
It's exactly what David's going through. You're experiencing things like David is.
We talk all the time about not just critics, but anybody who watches the movie that critiques it. It's not about what you think the movie should be or how you would have done the movie. It's about what is the story that's being told.
Right.
And we've had discussions on this podcast where we talk about films, and sometimes we do dive down that road where
you
like,
can't.
well,
I don't think you can help doing that.
But right. I get that, but you have to kind of pull it back and realize, no, that's not the story that was told to me. Does that story that was told to me, does it connect with me? Do I connect with it? And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But like, you can't really call out any kind of what you feel the director or John Landis' insincerity, or like, you can't call out that unless you absolutely know that.
Yeah.
Where like somebody comes up to you and like, John told me he hates this movie, he hates it. Then put it in your review.
He was crying over a script that the studio made him do
You
it.
can't watch something and get that. I don't think you can get that sense of what's coming off the screen as some kind of
sure you can, because you want to seem like you're a real auteur, because you can't make the films yourself.
Yeah.
You want to be like, oh, well, this isn't good. Like Robert Ebert, I know he knows a lot about movies, and
he knew a lot about movies.
R.I.P. Robert.
Mr.
But your one movie you directed, and you always admit it, was complete and utter crap.
And that movie was?
I can't remember the names.
Valley of the Dolls.
Yes. Like you can't, and then you can't go around and saying, oh, this is terrible because this person is thinking that. You tried and you failed.
Sure.
And as a reviewer, you can say, I think this movie's good or bad, like we were just saying. But yeah, saying what you think other people were going through or what they thought is just the worst kind of comments.
Obviously, for this podcast, we exaggerate our opinions just for the sake of entertainment. And I used to be somebody who would be like, oh, that movie's garbage, that movie's trash, that movie's terrible, boo. But now I think I still do that just because we're funny, joking around. But a lot of times I'll tell people, I just didn't get it. I wasn't into it. I didn't like it. And then sometimes if I'm pushed, I'll give reasons why I didn't like something. Not that they're wrong and I'm right, but it's just tell you what I didn't like.
Like there was a movie that just came out that we both watched in the theater together that I really didn't like, and I was really disappointed with.
Why can't you admit it?
I know you were. It was Mission Impossible 7.
Dead Reckoning.
It was dead bad. But and one of my buddies really liked it, and I even sent you like the list of what was wrong with the movie, but never once did I go, yeah, it really felt like McHugh was like, I really hate the script. I really want to like. There were instances that I took from interviews where they admitted to doing certain things a certain way that I think helped make the film bad. But I was never like in their head going, this is why it was bad, because they hated it.
Right.
Because they suck inside.
Yeah.
Because they were insecure.
I mean, we could do a whole show on that movie, but we won't. Well, I mean, not for this. For the sake, but yeah, there was it's like we wanted it to be good. Like I would give that movie, because I would give all those movies the benefit of the doubt, much like Indiana Jones. Like I would give Indiana Jones the benefit of the doubt. Willingly admit that. Like if it just didn't. There was just so many things that didn't hit me, and maybe it was just all these things at once, and I was just like, it just kept compiling on. I was just like, I don't like this, but regardless of that, yeah, agree. I don't know why we're going down this Mission Impossible tangent. All right, so Butler, why are we saying this film is forgotten?
I think a lot of people do know about this movie, even people my age, but I think people my age and definitely younger haven't gone back and watched it, because like you said, after this and The Howling, which I also think people need to go back and watch. The Howling is also really good. I've
seen the first Howling. I've not seen any of the other ones, and no, I don't even remember The Howling. Like that's the thing. Like I've seen it.
Yeah, I have images in my head of The Howling. I think when I first watched this as a kid, I watched The Howling.
I might go back and watch it a little bit.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like there was like you said, there's a dearth of werewolf content,
sure.
And I think most of it. I'm not a huge werewolf guy. I'm more of a vampires kind of guy. Twilight. I like Dog Soldiers. I think that was well done. That's another kind of indie film.
Did you like Ginger Snaps? I know that's a big one.
You tell me about Ginger Snaps. I've never seen that.
So I watched the first Ginger Snaps, and I wasn't a big fan. I know it's got a very big cult following, and I know it has sequels. I just never went back to it.
Gotcha.
Whenever I watched it, I wasn't into it. But I mean, I obviously could be wrong.
I'd have to check that out.
I don't know The Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
Wolf. That? There's Benicio del Toro. Wolfman.
Right, that's right, that one.
There have been other werewolf things here and there that come out. There was a couple of shows about werewolves. Like a Netflix
obviously
show.
Teen Wolf.
Wolf.
These waves are mine. Come on, Boof. I mean, let's go. Who doesn't love that? Teen Wolf 2. Okay, sorry.
There's a dearth of werewolf content that came after this that I think was heavily inspired by both this and The Howling, or wanted to take their own takes on it. And I think it kind of gets buried. I think when people do think about this film, they think of maybe a couple of flashes of the transformation sequence, but they don't actually know about the film in general. You know, no one talks about the werewolf Nazis killing the kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, there were Nazis in this.
They were supposed to be
just soldiers.
They were supposed to be represent Nazis. That's why I had Nazi type helmets.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Because
right,
in the leather jackets. Because John Landis was like, "What would somebody be scared of?"
Because the character's Jewish in the movie. Yeah.
So John Landis was like, as a Jewish man myself, thinking back, it's only 30 years removed from World War II. Nazis,
of course,
would be something.
They're always the ultimate bad guys.
Exactly. So I think they don't recognize any of that stuff. They don't recognize, the love story in there, the comedy. Maybe they've been told it's a comedy movie, a comedy horror, and it really
it's isn't. A comedy, guys.
Yeah. So, but I think there's so much in there that's...
they could have done Benny Hill. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
There's so much stuff that's in there that's like influential.
Yeah.
That I think it's worth going back and seeing, if not just for the monster effects in themselves, and seeing, once again, well done practical effects can make a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this movie is great on its own, but you can say whatever you want about this movie. Even that guy who was trashing it in the comedy horror movie,
Robert
had nothing.
Bruce Hallenbeck.
Bruce Hallenbeck. You can't. He was like saying Rick Baker's effects are good. You can't knock those.
Oh no, okay. I would question anybody's movie acumen if they were like, those effects look like trash. Like the transformation scene was garbage.
Exactly.
I'd be like, you clearly don't understand what goes into this. So no, that's something I would quite be like, listen, you can talk about the other stuff that Mike and I brought up, but like the effects hold up, and it's amazing because they're like, what, 30 years old, 40 years old. They're 40 years old, and they hold up big time.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I'm trying to think of other wolves. Seth Green's character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's right.
Was a wolf. I said Teen Wolf, the Teen Wolf show.
No, it's Teen Wolf. Yeah, there was a Netflix one as well that I can't remember for the life of me.
Oh, it was
terrible.
It wasn't it was the one that wasn't it one that Eli Roth did?
Yeah.
Where it was the town.
Yeah. My buddy liked it and I hated it.
It was it's like something like Huntington Lane or Hallingbrook thing, Hawthorne,
something like that.
Yeah, we tried watching it. When I say we had, me and my wife and I, but we were like,
I got one episode in and I was just like, this is the worst acting I've ever seen.
But you're right. There isn't a lot of really like strong werewolf
werewolves,
films.
yeah.
And it's always vampire. I think vampires are sexier. That's why.
Vampires are sexier. I think they're a little easier.
Mhm.
The fact that when they turn, they don't become complete beasts.
Right.
So it's a little easier to do more stuff with them. It's a more thinking man kind of. You can make it more thinking man kind of thing.
Sure.
You can do like more things with them.
Right.
When something becomes a wolf, he's just a wolf.
Van Helsing.
Yep.
The werewolves in the What We Do in the Shadows movie and TV show.
Oh yeah. I forgot about those. Throwing the squeaky toy off the roof and then just dive down.
All right, excellent. So that's why we're saying what's forgotten. We hope maybe you'll check it out. This is, again, like I said, we're going to be stumbling through this. So Mike,
That's
I
right.
guess I go, where do they find us? Right? Is that our next thing?
I think that's the next thing we say. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also now YouTube. If you're watching us, you know where to find us.
Did they notice your Demigorgon shirt?
I am wearing Demigorgons. I'm wearing a Halloween shirt too.
Yeah, but it's not matched.
Yeah, I didn't splurge for movie shirts.
It's a t-shirt. I mean, you act like you're super dirt poor.
I am super dirt poor. But when you're on any of those platforms, if you want me to not be dirt poor anymore, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, tell everybody, tell your friends about this podcast. Say nice things. It always helps.
And definitely listen, these 5 episodes for Forgotten Horror are going to be on YouTube. We're also doing, you probably, like I said, you saw the teaser trailer. You saw the commercial that we did where we rise from the grave. And there'll be a commercial for this episode. We back in the day, we used to do commercials for each episode. There's going to be 5 commercials for each movie. These movies. So our episodes are going to come out every Wednesday of October, and a bonus 5th episode on Halloween.
That's right. We're giving you more than ever.
So, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, because that's where we're trying to migrate a lot of stuff there. But obviously we're always going to be available on all podcast platforms.
That's right.
So I guess, again, like, I have no idea how to end this, but I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Wait, Forgotten Horror.
Keep it spooky, y'all.
I can't stop him from doing that. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the show.
Yeah, if you like what you saw, check out all the other videos we have. They should be there, maybe there. I don't know. They could be anywhere, but check out all those other videos. Like and subscribe, like we say in the show. It really helps out. And we hope you like what you saw. If you're just watching this while October's still going on, keep it spooky. And if October's over, you can still keep it spooky. Don't listen to what anyone else says. That Christmas stuff is out way too early.
Bye, guys.